Hello guys, it's Chum Messenger. To have another Beyblade video, we are ranking every GT Bay this time. Yeah, another ranking video already, so... GT is probably the weirdest season in terms of how I'm going to be ranking stuff, because there's 16 mainline bays, which isn't a lot, but then there's also like the 4 GT prize bays, and then there's 2 layers that never got stock combos. I'm going to be rating all 22 of them, so... yeah, if you want to ignore some of the other weird things, like, again, those GT prize bays are really strange, you can ignore them if you want to, but I decided it'd probably be better to include them than not. And then, as far as the layers go, I know they had gold turbo stock combos. Not really stock combos, but they had, like, combos with the gold turbo versions from Random Booster Volume 19. Not counting those, they don't really seem like a proper stock combo, so we're just qualifying the layers for those two. So you can probably imagine they are not going to rank very high when they don't have a combo. But with all that said, let's just go ahead and get into the ranking. So number 22, last place. It's Cosmo Valkyrie. This thing sucks. Valkyrie chip recolors, fine, 10 weight, cool. The Cosmo base, it's like it's like smooth underneath. That's kind of neat, I guess, but it's not that crazy. 11 without a frame sucks. Eternal, sure. But, like, it just feels so boring. Like, this was such a boring bay and really set a bad precedent for the, kind of just these GT prize bays and the new way that they were going to do them. Yeah, this just kind of sucks. It's, like, really bland. And not even a unique motif. Speaking of Valkyrie, number 21, Slash Valkyrie. So I did a ranking video, the only one I ever did for Beyblade, a very long time ago, in 2019 actually, because that's not that long ago, but I redid the list this year, but in my original list I put Slash at number 1 for my favorite Valkyrie, which appropriately it was changed in my new one to do it, you know, well, to put it in last place, but I don't know why I like this thing so much when it came out. It's not good. The Valkyrie chip, this design's okay, the teeth suck though, but whatever. Red Suede, I really don't like this weight, I'm going to be honest. The Slash base is just boring. Coming off of something like Chozy Valkyrie especially, this thing really just sucks. And it's just kind of Valkyrie shape, but that's like kind of all it has going for it. Blitz, sure, you got these like flaps that like move around. Got 3 of them. Power Driver is pretty random, but like, I guess, it just, like, all I can say is that yes, this is a Valkyrie. It's like an okay Valkyrie, I guess, but it's like, it doesn't really do a good job as a Valkyrie, and like, it's not really that interesting of a base, so I'm putting it here. Number 20, Poison Hydra. It is just a layer. The Hydra chip, though, does look really cool. Zenwit's nice enough. Poison base is actually kind of interesting. I like Poison. These parts have the rubber. They're kind of disconnected from the main layer. So they can like move around and stuff. You could probably see that. It's a pretty cool layer. I actually like this layer a lot. But there's no disc or driver. It's just a layer that exists. I can't really give it much higher of a rating when there isn't really a full bay to this. I don't know why they did not give this thing a proper stock combo. Really should have. At least they could have gone back, like in Sparking, right? They like to like reprint GT stuff in Sparking so much. We barely got any Sparking reprints because they were too busy reprinting GT and like Plastic Gen remake stuff. If they were gonna make all those GT reprints in Sparking, why did we not get a proper stock combo for this? And the number 19 slot, Knockout Odin, because Knockout Odin is such a good layer. This is actually one of my favorite layers in GT. I like the Gen weight here, it's pretty cool. You got the metal on the Knockout base. Knockout's also pretty small, it just looks cool though, and like, I like the Odin chip design a lot. It was just cool to see Odin back, honestly. But they didn't give it a stock combo. Why? It's just really unfortunate, because I like both of these layers a ton. They're both really nice layers, and with like at least half decent stock combos, these would have probably ranked top half of the list. But even just as layers, imagine being these two and getting beat by just layers. That's kind of an L, not gonna lie. Alright, anyway, let's get on to like the actual more interesting stuff now. So number 18, is Wizard Fafnir. This isn't a great bay, I'm not gonna lie. This is definitely the worst Fafnir by far. But, yeah, I mean, the Fafnir chip, I don't like how orange it is, and, like, I like orange a lot, but it just doesn't really work with the Wizard base, in my opinion, just the color scheme. The design itself is just kind of okay. The Wizard base looks okay. The Sunweight's fine. I don't like the Ratchet disc that much. It's, like, cool, I guess. The Rise driver's alright. It's again, it's kind of like Slash Valkyrie, where it's an okay bay, but it's just not a great Fafnir. But I think it is still better than Valkyrie, because it at least has the rubber, you know. It has what it needs to. So I think it at least succeeds pretty okay as a Fafnir. It's just not that great of one. And just not a great bay in general. This isn't even basing it on like the competitive use, because I know this thing bursts like immediately. Then again, it's like stock combo stuff isn't really competitive, but whatever. You know what I mean? It's just not a great combo, but still, it's here. All right, number 17. This is probably going to be a controversial one. I know a lot of people like this bay, and that is Union Achilles. I do not like Union Achilles very much. I'm not actually that big of an Achilles fan in general. Union... Okay, let me explain myself here. So, okay, the Achilles chip, it looks fine. The Retz weight I don't think works too well here in my opinion. I don't know why they gave it this weight of all weights, but yeah, sure. Every other part just feels like they try to throw something at this bay to see if it's stuck. It does reuse Extend Plus, which, this is fine. You know, it's like a weird, you know, mode change, height change type of driver. Sure. Achilles has had this before, that's fine. The Convert disc was like a weird weight shift thing. I guess you can argue that it can work with like Retz or something, but like, I don't know why they gave this weird like weight shift thing on Achilles, and then they did the Union base. It looks terrible without the attachment, but with the attachment it looks fine, and that's where the attachment gimmick started. So they kept the whole, you know, driver gimmick, but it feels like they just threw on a couple extra gimmicks, and they kind of just took whatever stuck. Clearly the weight shift thing did not stick. They did not really bring that back. They brought back the attachments, though. It just feels like they didn't know what to do with Achilles after Chozy Achilles, so they just did whatever with it, and it turned out, like, I think it's still an okay bay. It doesn't look bad, at least. Like, the gimmicks are whatever, though. It just feels like a little bit of a mess, in my opinion. I know this might be a disagreeable thing, and maybe I just don't like Achilles, but that's just my thoughts on it, I guess. Alright, number 16, another one. Okay, I have to really explain this one, because I know a lot of people like this bay. That's a Lord Spriggan. Okay, why is Lord Spriggan so low? First up, I don't like the layer design. I'm just saying. I do not like when Spriggans have a ton of gold on them. I think you can probably see where part of my problem comes from with this thing, then. I think the layer gimmicks are cool. You got the, you know, the LR chip going, which is nice. The LR base. You got the metal here, the rubber. Even like a little bit of a burst stopper in here, just kind of to help resist attacks, which is nice. Layer is cool in terms of gimmicks. I don't like how it looks, though, but it would have maybe ranked higher if it had, like, actual parts. Oh, yeah, also, the weight here. The weight is fused. It's not a unique weight or anything, which is kind of cool. So the parts, though. Blitz, Dimension Dash. Blitz, already talked about this disc. It's not bad, but it doesn't really feel like a Spriggan disc at all. Dimension Dash, why? This is not a Spriggan driver. This is not a Spriggan driver at all. I don't know why they gave it Dimension Dash of all things. It just... That's kind of my problem here, is while I don't like how the layer looks, it's at least a cool layer. But they just completely did the parts wrong here, and that's kind of why it's so low for me. Alright, number 15. Big Bang Genesis. So I am basing this on the stock combo that was released. So, 0 yard metal, 0... Alright disc, no frame though. Yard metal, okay, they at least gave it like a unique-ish driver. Cool. But they're not really like anything special. They just threw it on here for the sake of having a layer upgrade. And yeah, I think Big Bang Genesis is a really nice layer. I do actually like this more than Regalia. Maybe a little bit, although without the Big Bang armor, maybe not, but still, like, with the Big Bang armor, it's a cool idea. They at least gave us like something. So yeah, it's a decent looking layer. I like this layer quite a bit, but like, you know, the parts were just kind of thrown on, and that's why this is so low. Alright, 14th, Zwilonginus. So Zwilonginus, it's like, it's pretty cool. The Longinus, you know, chip, it looks nice. You know, this is where they started to put more metal on these things. You know, like with the Zwei base here having a lot of metal, which we'd continue to see that through like Rage and Guilty. And then the Mets weight, you know, having a weight specifically made for Longinus is cool. Drake, again, kind of a specific Longinus disc, and then Spiral Dash. Kind of unfortunate, but whatever. Yeah, this bay I feel like was pretty solid, but I feel like when you compare it to something like Guilty, it just isn't really there. But it's probably like an unfair comparison though, because that's like, you know, the fully evolved version. But yeah, this is still a cool bay. And I feel like this is kind of where we passed that threshold into like actually cool bays. I think Big Bang was kind of the last one where I had some complaints with. I might still have some in the future, but like, you know, this bay is at least pretty solid and a good benchmark, I would say, for some of the better bays. Alright, 13th, Heaven Pegasus. This bay is weird. Okay, so Pegasus chip, cool. Sen weight's fine. The Heaven base is very strange. It has this gimmick where after 2 clicks, these parts pop out on both sides, and if hit hard enough, the clicks are supposed to reverse. Does that actually function? Not really that well. I guess you can argue it does, but like, But it was a cool idea at the very least, so I'll give him some credit for like having that idea. The layer also just looks great. And oh. Alright, so as I drop the bay, yeah, I was saying this layer looks great. Yeah, that was a mistake. Anyway, so 10 proof. I think 10 proof, you know, it works. I don't really have anything against it. But really, really nice to get a proof frame reprint, because the only way to get it before was through a set. And then low, this doesn't really need to exist, honestly, but like, sure, I guess. It's still a cool bay overall, though. I like this one. Alright, number 12, we have Flare Dragon. You can probably hear the thing before I put it on screen, so the Dragon Chip recolor looks pretty cool, actually. The Flare base has the 6 metal balls going around. Sen weight works fine. The planet, well, yeah, I guess the planet driver, since it's reused, you got the metal ball here. And then you have the 2 that move around. Then around, its unique disc has these 4 metal balls here, which are cool. I had some trouble figuring out what to put in this slot. There's like probably this and like the next like 6 bays I could have honestly moved around in any order, so like say like 7th through 12th were all ridiculously close, but the reason why I chose this one for last place, why was this not just a Zeus evolution? Like, every part here except for Dragon would have made a lot of sense for a Zeus evolution, so kind of annoying, honestly, but as a bay, it is still pretty cool, and I like its whole idea, so yeah. I'm gonna move this, though. It's really loud. Alright, number 11, we have Dread Bahamut. So Dread Bahamut definitely looks cool. Bahamut chip is nice. The Gen weight works well with the gimmick for Dread, which is kind of the, you know, these things, it kind of makes it more round as it, you know, moves outward, as you could tell. So, again, kind of helps with that. Pretty nice. We saw it expanded upon with Roar Bahamut, which we will get to in a couple months when we get to the DB tier list, but, or DB ranking, I guess. So the layer looks cool. The gimmick is solid. 7 wall, pretty cool. Don't have any complaints about it. And then Orbit Metal. Honestly, this is pretty nice to see. This was the first of these types of metal drivers. And yeah, bringing back Orbit like this was actually a pretty cool idea. Just a solid bay overall, honestly. Number 10, Master Diablos. I have some opinions on this thing. So Diablos 2, I think, is a pretty nice looking chip. Unfortunate that it did lose its uniqueness from Diablos 1, where it had like the chip weight fusion thing going on. Still LR though, which is nice. The Master Base. So this thing is where we got the first flippable base, and just the first like flippable piece in general, which we saw Spriggan eventually steal in Sparking. But yeah, it's still a really nice bay. There's like this little weight thing. It has its own unique weight, I guess you could say. It's not really a weight, just kind of part of the base, but it's removable, so like you can kind of call it a unique weight if you want. I don't know, it's up to you. So you got some metal on the base as well, which is nice. And some also like underneath, like here. But you can see how it's flippable, which is cool. This is the left spin side, this is the right spin side. And yeah, it's nice. Also, generate. So, first up, the layer is both like really cool, like for gimmicks, and just looks cool. But like generate is where I have some problems. So if they were going to use a disk driver fusion, this should have been a larger bullet. Imagine if they used two parts here, you know, both the disk slot and the driver slot, to make a larger bullet that actually like had more of an impact on battle. That would have been crazy. But they didn't do that. Instead, they made like an inverted reboot type of thing, like Final Survive pretty much, where it, you know, starts off in attack mode and then eventually like goes into stamina mode. Now, if they wanted to do this, fine. But it did not need to be a disk driver fusion. It just didn't need to be. If you're going to use something like this, make it a larger bullet. If not, make a separate disk and driver. But I don't hate generate either. It's just kind of unfortunate a little bit. But the layer is really cool, so I'm putting it pretty high up anyway, so yeah. Number 9, Prime Apocalypse. Oh man, Prime Apocalypse is a cool bay. This layer just looks cool. I like the infinite lock system. But I guess there was another infinite lock bay that was a little more interesting. So it just kind of exists, but hey, it's fine. It's like a alternate Excalibur or something that's kind of cool, honestly. But yeah, I like the infinite lock stuff. And then the parts are Zero Dagger, Ultimate Reboot Dash. Zero Dagger, pretty nice part choice there for kind of the sword design Apocalypse has. And then Ultimate Reboot Dash, I can't, hold on, let me, I can't pull this out with my hands. The tabs are too small. Anyway, but yeah, you get how Ultimate Reboot Dash works. This middle part pops up and then retracts like it is now to go on the rubber, so yeah. Overall, I think it's just a pretty solid bay. It was a cool attack type. Not one of the craziest bays in all of GT, but it is still pretty interesting, and it does have this, you know, infinite lock gimmick going for it. Even if it's not unique to Apocalypse, it is still cool, so yeah. Alright, number 8, Judgment Joker. Yeah, this is a really nice bay. Joker chip's cool, Zanweight is neat. The Judgment base is pretty nice. I like these, you know, giant rubber pieces. You got the, like, the rubber stopper in here. Just a really, really solid layer that also looks great. Part choice is decent. You got 0-0 turn, which is pretty nice. And then Trick. It moves. Thematically it works. It kind of sucks as a driver, but like thematically, okay, sure. You know, I get it. Joker, it makes sense to have a driver like that, which is kind of cool, I guess. I just like this bay a lot, especially for the layer, so... It's still a cool bay overall, nonetheless, though, so, yeah. Number 7, Bushin Ashura. This might be a weird one for a lot of people, you know. I know Bushin Ashura usually is not what you would think for, like, a bay that you put in, like, the top half of a GT list. Especially not at, like, number 7. Like, that's a pretty high spot. The Ashura chip doesn't do a whole lot. It just kind of exists. You know, the 10 weight's pretty decent overall, I guess. And then the Bushin blade, not Bushin blade, the Bushin base, it just kind of exists. But here's the thing. It looks cool. Green and gold is just a cool color scheme in my opinion, and that's why I like this base so much. It just looks nice. Wish this was just a Kirby's or something, but it's not. Whatever. Part choice is Hurricane Keep. I like Hurricane, you know, I like the free spin, kind of the magenta purplish color here. Keep a free spin rubber ball is pretty nice. So yeah. Part choice is pretty nice. The layer just kind of exists, but in terms of appearance, it's great. Yeah, I just like this bay a lot, honestly, for its appearance mainly. And yeah, no, I don't really have any other... Oh, this is upside down. I hope it was not like that from the start, but anyway. I don't really have anything else to say about Ashura, other than it just looks cool, but yeah, no, it just looks great, so... Anyway, number 6. Naked Spriggan. The Naked base is still a terrible name, but whatever. The recolor of the Spriggan chip looks pretty nice. The 10 weight works fine. The Naked base isn't too crazy on its own, just like a left spin defense base. That's just kind of like a thick thing, I guess, sure. But, yeah, Paradox and Orbit Metal. So Orbit Metal getting a reprint, pretty cool. Paradox disc has 2 modes. One mode where it just kind of scrapes and doesn't do much, but the other mode only works with Naked. And it kind of just pairs up with it really well. So, you know, I just bursted it, but yeah. Pairs up with it nicely. It just kind of works with it, which I like a lot, honestly. It's kind of like the Boost Disc 145 of Burst, and wish maybe they would have made this have a little bit more of a presence on a more important bay, but I'm glad they at least made something like this at all, so still nice. Alright, now we're into the top 5. So, number 5, yeah, Venom Diablos. This thing is great. So you have the whole chip weight fusion going on. It's LR, which is really cool, honestly. The Venom base is like, okay. You also have Erase as a left spin base. I probably should have grabbed that, honestly, but oh well. So yeah, you have the 2 balance bases, 1 right spin, 1 left spin. Sure, but yeah, Venom, it just kind of exists. But Vanguard is also a pretty solid disc. Looks cool. Works well. And then you have Bullet, which sucks, but it's really cool because, you know, it can jump up and then, like, you know, ends up like this, which looks kind of stupid, but whatever. And yeah, this little mini piece, which isn't good. It's not good in battle, but it's just kind of cool. And yeah. Come on, we could, there we go. Okay. So, outside of the chip, I think, well, I guess maybe Vanguard as well. The base, well, I guess bases, and then the driver are not very good, but the driver's just really cool, and this bay also just looks really cool. I just like it a lot, honestly, so, yeah. Number 4, Ace Dragon. This is what introduced us to the GT system. Also, it came with extra bases. So Ace, its main base here is, of course, an attack-type base, but you had a defense base with Rock and a stamina base with Grand. Pretty basic, but again, nice introduction to the GT system. The Dragon Chip looks great. The Zanweight works fine. The Sting Disc kind of has the whole bound thing going on, which is cool. Charge Driver is really neat. It's just a really solid bay overall. That also happens to be like one of the best looking bays in GT, so I just like this thing a lot, honestly. Maybe you could say I overrated this thing a little bit, but like, I just really like Ace Dragon, so yeah, no, that's all I have to really say about it. Number 3, probably the biggest sleeper hit in all of GT, at least in my opinion. Tact Longinus. Man, I like this bay a lot. The Longinus chip recolor is great. The So weight, not too crazy, but it was kind of cool to have something a little bit more like of a central weight distribution type of thing going on. We'll come back to the tact base. 12 expand, kind of unfortunate that I had to get 12, but expand, sure. Trans Dash is a decent driver, kind of cool to see it back. You got the attack mode, defense mode, pretty nice. Also cool to see it get a dash version. The tact base. So it works like Chain Carbius, and that's kind of where that gimmick came from, but these parts, you know, they move and stuff. These ones are like more fixed, so the reason to why these are fixed and these are not is because of the weight. So how tact works is that depending on the weight, these pieces here will change. If there's nothing like these little like stud things pressing on these, they just kind of move freely. But when they are pressing down on them, they are locked. I feel like this is such a cool gimmick. Like, it's a neat gimmick just in general to have like these movable pieces, but like having it function with the weights specifically was great. I think it really added a lot to how weights work, and I wish we could have seen more gimmicks kind of that utilize weights in that way, because I feel like a lot of times weights were just used for whatever's the heaviest or most balanced. I feel like something like this gives a lot more options, because you can kind of use different weights depending on what would work the best, which I just like that idea. And while it's not like insane here or anything, it's just still such a cool idea that I really wish was expanded upon, and this is the only bay to do anything like it, so for me I'm putting it this high up anyway because I like that. And also, it's still just a cool bay in general, and it looks great. Definitely one of the more unique looking bays in GT. Really, really underrated bay in my opinion. Alright, number 2, Regalia Genesis. Come on, this layer just looks so nice. I like the white and gold a ton. And while I think Big Bang Genesis, like, the layer itself, I don't know if I'd call it better, but like the Big Bang armor coming with it, I think improves it, so there is that. But this thing isn't really like much worse or anything like that, so there's that. But also, it looks better. And you have the infinite lock still, which is always a nice time, and I just bursted that on my own. But yeah. Looks cool. But the main cell here is hybrid. Disk driver fusion, that is, of course, an electric driver. Battery powered, kind of does its own things, you know, can move around on its own. I don't think I really need to say much else aside from that's really cool, and the layer is really cool. That's literally all to say. It's just an infinite lock bay with an electric driver. It's number 2 because that is just awesome, and it looks really cool. I like the white and gold design. Really nice color scheme. And number 1, Imperial Dragon. Okay. Dragon 2 chip is a nice redesign. And then there's the Imperial base. So you got some metal here. These gold pieces are weird because they're kind of bound. At least one. I don't know where exactly it is, but something on here. I think it's this part or something. Maybe you can see that move like a little bit. They can awaken, and I don't think you're supposed to put them back in after they've awakened, so I'm not going to awaken them. But that is a feature that it has. Also, there is some rubber on the bottom here, which is cool. Also, Imperial is kind of a base weight fusion, you could say. So yeah, really cool base. This layer is honestly just great. Has a lot going on with it, which is nice, and it just looks really cool. Ignition dash. This thing can kind of change its speed with its electric driver. And, you know, again, it is an electric driver. And it also has a thing where it kind of spins, like, in a reverse pattern, which you can't really do normally. It has to use an electric driver to do that, and that is really cool, in my opinion. I like Ignition Dash more than Hybrid, and I think the electric drivers are really, really cool. I actually hated them when I first saw them, but, like, over time, like, they weren't overdone or anything, and because they were not overdone, they were just done a couple times. I really like these things a lot. I like this layer a lot too, and that is why it is my favorite GT bay. It just has so much going on with it. It's just such a cool bay. And Ignition Dash is crazy, and I like it a lot. But yeah, that is my GT ranking video. So there you go. That is everything from GT. And yeah, I actually will be doing another ranking video very, very soon for every Spriggan. So we will take a little break from the, you know, series ranking videos to do that in actually a few days only, so that'll be pretty soon. But I will continue the monthly thing to where I will do, in January I will do the sparking stuff, and then February DB, unless if we get like another DB extension, but I doubt that. And then yeah, that'll be that. And then I will continue doing more of the, like, just bays, like I'll do like Ragnarok and like Kirbyus and stuff after February, so yeah, but I will do a Spriggan one in between just for fun, so yeah. But anyways, with every GT Bay, I probably had some bad takes here. That's always fun, but I don't know, I like these ranking videos. Let me know if you have any favorite or least favorite GT Bays. You could just do like one or like an entire list. It's whatever, you know, if you want to list out anything, feel free to. I like hearing other opinions. If you want to like give a reason and go for it, just say whatever, honestly, if you want to. That's all for this video though, so yeah. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.